at approximately 9:40 a.m. I'm Walt Valentine, Commission Chair. I'll now call to order the meeting of the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission. Executive Director Cody Vest, please call the roll.
Thank you. Stuart Bain.
Present.
David Brown.
Present.
Larry Flair.
On the phone call in, present.
Robin Johnston.
Present.
Rick Jones.
Present.
Alan Russo.
Here.
Doug Shanks.
Here.
Walt Valentine.
Present.
All right. Let the record show that you have a full quorum.
Thank you. Next item for approval is the agenda. I'd like to ask each commission member if they've received and had time to review a copy of the agenda. And if so, is there a motion to adopt this agenda?
Mr. Chairman, David Brown makes a motion that we adopt the agenda. Doug Shanks seconds.
Okay. Any discussion? Director Vest, would you call the roll?
Stuart Bain.
Concur.
David Brown.
Aye.
Larry Flair.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Rick Jones.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Motion carries. The minutes, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the last Education Committee and Commission meeting. Has each commission member received and had time to review the copy of those minutes? And if so, is there a motion to adopt these minutes?
Doug Shanks make a motion to adopt them. Jones will second.
Any discussion?
There was Rick Jones.
Hearing none, I'll ask Director Vest to call the roll.
Stuart Bain.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Larry Flair.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Rick Jones.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The motion carries. Next on our agenda is the legal report by Staff Attorney Stuart Huffman.
Morning. Morning. Number one on the legal report is 2018-087-061. Complainant alleges respondent is engaging in unlicensed activity when entering into Tennessee from North Carolina to investigate a missing child case. Respondent was found to be properly licensed in North Carolina but did not have a Tennessee license. Respondent was asked to conduct the investigation in North Carolina and to travel to Tennessee to speak with family members regarding the missing child. Respondent states that he never received compensation and volunteered his time and efforts through his nonprofit organization. Respondent investigated this matter for about 10 days in Tennessee and paid for his own out-of-pocket expenses. Respondent falls under the Limited License Recognition Agreement between certain states with Tennessee, including North Carolina. Under this agreement, respondent qualifies for exemption of Tennessee licensure because he is properly licensed as a PI in his state of residence and in good standing. Further, the case originated in his home state, and respondent did not investigate this matter in Tennessee over the 15-day limit. Recommendation is to close.
Chairman, I make a recommendation we approve council's recommendation.
Second. Alan Russo.
Okay, been moved and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Executive Director Vest, if you would call the roll.
Stuart Bain.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Larry Flair.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Rick Jones.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The second item on our list.
Number two is 2019-023-481. Complainant completed a TBI consent form and paid $40 to receive a copy of her polygraph results and any opinions or conclusions rendered within 30 days. After 30 days, complainant did not receive her copy. Respondent explains that to this date, complainant's polygraph was not yet been quality control reviewed for a final opinion. As soon as complainant's polygraph has completed the quality control process and respondent's opinion has been confirmed, respondent will provide complainant with a copy of the polygraph report. Respondent has spoken to complainant and explained the holdup. Complainant rebutted and stated she is aware why she hasn't received a copy of her polygraph report and would like to drop this complaint. Recommendation is to close.
Stuart Bain, motion made.
Second. Jones.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Executive Director Vest, if you would call the roll.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Rick Jones,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Is there anything further?
That concludes the legal report.
Okay. Not long. Do we have anyone wanting to appear before the commission?
Yes, just a moment, please. Let me get my stuff back. But just give them a few minutes because they have not seen any of this material that I presented to them. Application to be an apprentice PI with Still Watch Investigations, and he's here to answer any questions that you may have on his background. You do have a copy of the application. Yeah, that's for the apprentice, of course. You do have a written do you want a copy? It's 8497. You have a written explanation. What we're looking at is a 5/11/2018 assault, and they call it domestic, and looks like it, according to the TBI records, there was 2 violation of order protections.
Everyone had an opportunity to review the material that Mr. Crecilius has submitted.
Yes.
Yes, Stuart Bain has a question or two, if I may.
Sure.
Mr. Crecilius, I'm looking at page 9 of 20, December 19, 2018 letter to Pre-Now Investigations, DBA Stillwatch. When were you apprenticed? Last year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your current duties?
I assist Renee Brewer in whatever she assigns me to do that day, but typically I'm either in the office with her serving her, communicate with other PIs that are in the field. I have been with her on surveillance at times. How much freedom I have to speak, but the interest came from, she did work for me in my own divorce case and asked me if I'd be interested in doing that kind of work. And I've became very interested, and there's a long story to all of this that my divorce was finalized Monday, and I'm just glad that I'm on this side of things because I was put in some situations.
Are you still under an order of protection?
I am not. No. There are some conditions that the judge put in place about contact with my ex, and then there's some mutual things as well, basically. But she had another relationship going on that was uncovered by Stillwatch that led to her making an accusation that was not entirely true and resulted in this legal problem that I have now. But I feel like we did not try this case because the downside was too great, and I basically chickened out and took the plea. I've regretted it every day since. But
let me ask you this: you had a copy of order of protection, right?
I did,
and it's pretty clear not having any communication.
Yes, sir. She filed in August 5th, 2017, and we have 2 children. On Christmas of that year, I began communicating with her some, and she was allowing me to come into the house, cut the grass, be there. I understand what
that language. That's where you get hung up. That language. I do a lot of domestic work, and that's where you get hung up at.
Yeah,
they're very specific. These judges write these things. I know there's always, well, they say they do this, and then when you have a disagreement, your statement bothers me that you talk to her and then try to get her phone from her.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, what had happened is
that's what troubles me a little bit about this.
Judge John Gwynn there in Wilson County had revised the the order to where I could be at the house and be in the garage and be there, and basically the Sunday, May the 6th, on that Sunday was the date that, through looking through some Kroger Plus information, I realized that she had been spending a lot of time in Hermitage, and we live in Lebanon. And I realized that there was somebody else. And in uncovering some of that information, hindsight's 2020, but I accused her of her having an affair. And embarrassment in our small community was to have me to not make this public. She knew that she had that ability to have me turned in, but there's a ton of text messages. There's times that I slept overnight in our home in the spring of 18 leading up to this, and I was under the impression that we were getting back together until May the 6th. And when I uncovered that information, and I should have never confronted her, but I mentioned it to her, and then the day I was there was no anger. There was no really conflict. It was more of a matter of, I was in the garage to work on a boat that's in our garage and to cut the grass, and she began videoing me, and I realized she was setting me up. So I just tried to get her to delete the video because she had been allowing me to sleep there for.
You have an attorney on this divorce?
I had 2. I had Jennifer Thompson and also had Ashley Jackson. I owe my parents about $60,000, and I still owe some attorney's fees, and I'm just trying to work my insurance license. I talked to the Department of Insurance, Commerce and Insurance, and it is not in jeopardy due to these charges. They have this same documentation, and I start a new job tomorrow in my insurance field. I've been doing commercial property and casualty for 19 years, but I need money now more than I ever have in my life. I've got to pay a lot of stuff off and considering moving back in the marital home. And Renee Brewer's been kind enough. She knows the story, and she's been kind enough to accept me in with her firm. And I just see this as the potential to make some additional income.
I asked, sir, your training. Are you undertaking some PI work? Training, in other words? Can you describe that, please?
Just the in the field type work. I have not studied for or sat for the exam. I wanted to wait until I knew, the licensing could happen, I guess.
Move forward.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And the same thing when I was applying for insurance jobs. All of this criminal stuff I had a good job with Elite Insurance Agency out of Franklin that they waited from August to October to see if my wife would drop the charges. And there was some hope that she would, because it's affected my ability to earn an income for I have an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old, and really affected my ability to earn an income. And it's frustrating because I'm in a position to change the laws, but orders of protection, I understand their purpose. I certainly know there is a need for them in certain situations, but I was never heard when that order was granted by Judge Gwynn. I had stepped out of the hallway to go to the restroom, and I was under a lot of emotional stress at that point in time on August 23rd of 2017. I was not represented by an attorney. I stepped into the hallway. As soon as I opened the door back up, I heard the gavel. He made a decision to put the permanent order of protection in place, and he never heard my side of the story. So I felt like I was trying to play catch up the entire time, and that my wife's attorney had used that as a way to get me out of the home and gain an advantage in the divorce. And back to my income, my wife, out of her frustration with me, which I have none, I have forgiven and moved on, and I wish no ill will towards her or her new companion. But I found out about this, like say in May. Renee Brewer got video evidence June the 5th of them kissing. Never had a reaction to it, never confronted her again, have not spoken with her again since May the 11th, and don't intend to. On Monday of this week, and I'm ready to start fresh and move on. This is one piece of that puzzle. Direction I need to go. So,
And you're still on probation?
yes, sir. That was one of the conditions, was to, worst case. I feel very fortunate. The worst case scenario was, we're looking at 3 misdemeanors. I could be in the Wilson County Jail right now. I mean, those charges carry a sentence of 11 months, 29 days, and by the grace of God, Jennifer Thompson and Ashley Jackson worked with the DA, Tom Swank, and they worked out a better deal for me. And Mr. Swank would even tell you, as I've heard back through my attorneys, that he thinks that she was using this to be punitive as well, and that that's why the deal was worked out as well as it was. I'm still not happy with it, because I believe if it had gone to a jury trial that I would have been found not guilty, but honestly, I could not stomach it. And I have had 18 months of stress and feeling like I was wrongly accused, and back some of the time with my kids and my reputation. Again, small town, but I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about earning an income for my children. And
Chairman, if I might be in order,
Yes.
I would like to see this and in his process toward PI licensing move forward.
Rick Jones will second that.
That is a motion.
That was a motion. Yes, sir.
Any discussion on that?
I have a little discussion, even though I'm may not. This gentleman is on probation. He's going to get his license, of course, and after he takes the exam, he's passed everything. Sometimes with these records that we have, we put the individual on probation for that 2-year period. If nothing else comes up, everything's fine. But if there are some other incidents of this type, he would have to come back before you to keep his license. If you had any qualms about the still being on probation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to ask my fellow commissioner if he would make an amendment to his motion that Mr. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong, Crelicius,
I'd be surprised if it was right. Most
be
people
on
mess it up the
probation,
first
not
time.
be subject to not violating his probation during his apprenticeship for his PI license.
Amendment is accepted. Yes, sir.
And what that means is that he would go ahead, finish up what he needs to finish. License. He'd become a private investigator. Of course, he comes up for renewal every 2 years. Well, that would be he only has a year, 11/29. So, incidents of this type, there won't be, license would come out of probation. Now, on the computer, you will see it's active. His license will say active. It's just probation on our side to help us monitor what's transpiring. And I'd put it back in his court that if he does get arrested, he would need to tell, of course he has to, our office of the arrest. If that's okay with the committee.
Arrest or any violation of the probation.
Any further discussion? Okay. Director Vest, if you would call the roll.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
David Brown,
Abstain.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Rick Jones,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Motion carries with one abstention. Excuse me.
We have to test you today.
I appreciate it, gentlemen.
Good for
Thanks for your understanding.
Next on the agenda is administrative matters. Executive Director Cody Vest.
I hope that was understandable. When we usually have somebody on probation, I don't know, the commission, I don't, but sometimes we want to monitor that situation. That's why I made that suggestion. It won't affect his license. The gentleman will get a license. But I think we explained to him that if anything does happen, he may have to come back before you again to keep that license.
Given the circumstances, it's a good idea.
So we're under administrative matters, which is mine, the monthly report. Do we have any discussions about the monthly report? As you can see, it is for December, January. Let me back up. December 2018, January.
Oh, it should be 19.
It should be. And that's
That's right. That's not.
thought it was easy being the assistant, didn't you? Okay, let's try this again. We have December 2018, January 2019, and February of 2019. We apologize. The dates were wrong on here. We'll discuss that later.
Regarding our commission vacancies, has Rousseau and Jones' names gone back up the hill?
Jerry Richards' license, his term expired. He chose not to continue. I have received information to names that I've submitted to management, and I think there were several names that I submitted. Alan Russo has generously said he would like to continue serving, if at all possible. I have received some information, and that's gone. For Mr. Jones, no, sir, I don't have any information from anyone to take whether he wanted to or whether we have anybody to take his place yet.
Thank you.
Oh, well, okay, yes, that's what was on that. We're still having our meetings. I actually finally got the alarm board fully staffed. There's only 5 members there, but they are fully staffed now. Budget review, I think it is very exciting. Of the one I had to begin with, you have the new one. You have the February budget. Your January budget showed $19, but right now you have $9,106, which is black. From that and a couple of more months that we have, whenever I took a look at it compared to what the historic trend is, I believe we may be able to pull this out this year, being in the black.
Very good.
As they say, we are not here to make money. We're here only to have operating fees. So if we end up in the black for only $1, that is great.
We appreciate all your
Be in
efforts
the
too,
black.
y'all doing for us.
Thank you. Constantly, in order to make sure we stay in the black. Not like I can go out and bring anybody in and tell them let's make applications. You know, we would love to be able to do that.
Oh, maybe your February visit. What was this in February you all did at a conference?
Job fair.
Oh, a job fair. Yeah, you found
The
some.
job
You
fair.
found some good turnout and good interest.
We forgot the job fair. We got safety days.
They come up, express some interest in PI
No.
world. No. Okay.
We had an excellent turnout. Mark Amick and I attended excellent turnout. I was really surprised at the number of people who already had a job, but were looking to improve themselves. Everybody, of course, were instructed to bring their resumes. They did. And as they talked with us, I marked their resume to what area I thought maybe they'd be interested in, like cosmetology or A&E. Or I didn't have anyone have an interest in private investigation. And I have a problem actually with that, because if they had, who would I refer them to if you're not going to hire an apprentice or hire somebody?
Or polygraph. It just occurred to me.
Yeah, that's
that too.
Yeah, that would never come up.
Yeah.
Probably in that instance. But we're all the time glad to go into those. We do have the safety days that are coming up. One's here at the Bicentennial Mall, and one's going to be in Jackson. Commerce and Insurance safety days, they'll be there. I don't know about PI as far as safety is concerned. I mean, I have my security side, I have the alarm side, but we will be participating in that as well. Hoping to have by then the banner made that does list our professions. It's a little hard when you just have a table out there and there's people out just walk up there, and then you have to stand there and explain all of these different areas. That's why when I look at, they hand me the resume, I look at it kind of quickly, and then it gives me an idea of what area they need to go into. But I would just love, yes, we would take the time to talk to anyone who want to be a private investigator. We had some for alarms. A lot of people do not understand that which is different from your profession. I understand that. But if you take the alarm board, for instance, one of their sales reps, one of the companies has explained it to me, they're making $20, $22, $25, $30 an hour. That's start with that. What's that, $30,000, $40,000 a year? I don't know what area or what the fee would be for private investigations. Yes, we do. We do discuss all our programs as best we can. Thank you for knowing that we did that. I thought was going to be there all day, but we just took, since there's so many regulatory boards.
Well, it just seems to make sense to connect with the PI associations in the state. So when you're in a location, licensed PI could be there for an hour or two. Is that not reasonable? Or, I mean, if you're in the East Tennessee, I would want to know about it so I could be there.
We appreciate that. Whenever we did our little seminars, which I'm doing something different this year, I always ask, and Mr. Russo was kind enough to participate. He would when we went to West Tennessee. Or anybody, we went to Pigeon Forge. Yes, I'll let you know what areas that we would be in if you would come. I would talk about the profession. I don't know your profession. You do. And it'd be a lot of help. I didn't know.
I believe someone was there in Pigeon Forge.
Who was that? You
and Doug.
Doug, you were at Pigeon Forge.
Gatlinburg.
Or Gatlinburg. Yeah.
Whatever. Since I live there.
Pretty close. The point is that I would hope that somehow the PI associations and the Polygraph Association could support your representation in various parts of the state.
Anytime we get invited to speak, we love to go speak. But then there's only certain things that I can speak on. For instance, applications. We're looking better. Well, with individuals filing online, we're up to about 80-85%. It fluctuates a little bit from week to week, but that is fantastic. PIs are required to do them online, and they've got the computers to do it. And I'm glad to say that we have pushed that a good bit. I've looked at maybe going to the high schools, but I believe the requirement is you have to be 21 to be a private investigator. Is that right? I'm doing that by memory. So they'd have to wait for a few years coming out of school. And the Metro school system, for instance, if you're taking criminal justice and you become a security guard, it helps you with certain semesters when you go to college for that. So we are working with that, but you only have to be 18, so I can go into the school system and talk to them about that. I've tried to get into the Spanish community, for instance. This would be good for the private investigators because you don't have to be a citizen. But commission members, I got to have somebody that would hire these individuals. Take application, they got to be affiliated with the company. So I'm kind of a little up there. But yes, I've tried to look at different areas to try to get into. And yes, we do speak with private investigators. Like I say, you have to be 21, but you do have to be affiliated with a company in order to get the license. My bandwagon, let's move right on. I'm sorry. What do we have? The legislative update. Oh, this is a good topic right here. We don't have any. We're gonna move right on. We really love that. Actually, Ashley monitors that, and I do get the notifications. And within it, we haven't really had any legislation that affected our professions, all our professions. We've been pretty lucky there. We have an application review. Is Mr. Barton here? Okay. Justin Barton. You want to move down to that application review? Want to take a quick break for just a moment? 10 minutes maybe?
You would like? Yes. Okay. We are in adjourn.
Barton is with us. Would you come in up and sign in, please, sir?
Robin, are you going to recuse yourself on this?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. If you would step out in the hall.
Barton, I'm sorry. If you give the commission a few minutes, they have not seen your application before.
Has everyone had a chance to review the application and the materials submitted? Yes. If so,
Yeah, Mr. Barton is here to discuss his background. If you've had a chance to look at that. Barton, I do have your written explanation, and I do have the TPI report. Would you like to explain the circumstances to the commission?
Yes. So December 2016, or 2017, sorry, while employed at a hotel, I was a security officer. I was doing a patrol of the parking lot. I found an unmarked envelope in the parking lot. Opened it up, and there was a gift card inside. It was valued at $2,000. I attempted to get in contact with a gift card, a call to see if it was linked to anybody. There's no plates or anything inside or outside of the envelope. And after I made a bad judgment call, and I kept it for myself. It was a couple weeks before Christmas. Financially, I wasn't doing well, and I made a morally bad judgment call that would probably, affect me for the rest of my life. I was charged with credit card theft and obtaining, goods or services by fraud. Even though it wasn't a credit card, I'm still charged with credit card theft. I took a plea because I was being charged with 6 felonies altogether. Of course, after paying restitution, court fees, and court fines, lawyer fees, it was not worth it. And it haunts me every single day. I've never broken a law. I've always been on the right side of the law. I worked loss prevention, security. I was in the Army for 6 years. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a thief. I'm scared of speeding in my car now. Like it was a pivotal moment that's affected me. And yeah.
What did you do up in Ketchikan, Alaska?
The Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show. I worked a shore excursion. It was passengers off cruise ships would get off their ship. I would entertain them and get them to the lumberjack show. Everybody always has questions about that.
What was your role in the Army?
Chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear operations specialist. I was in there for 6 years. ETS as a sergeant, E5.
Martin, are you still on probation?
Negative, no.
Did you? How'd you get into the security business?
Well, during the Army, because I was in the reserves, I was in the National Guard. My first job, security / assets protection, loss prevention, was a target. Once I got into that, I really enjoyed it. Doing surveillance, catching shoplifters, I was just really good at it. And then it just kind of continued after that. I was a security supervisor for a security company. I went with Kroger for a district loss prevention specialist, and kind of continue with that. I love that work. I became really Army, discipline and instilled situational awareness. But when I got into loss prevention, it was observation, and I pride myself on observational skills.
You make all full restitution, haven't you? I believe it. I saw that. Okay.
And that was in 2017?
Yeah, the court date was in June 29th, 2017.
Was that envelope in the parking garage?
Parking lot.
Parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Were there any identifying marks on the envelope?
Nothing. It was just a blank envelope. It had no name, nothing on it. If someone walking down the street and you find a $20 bill, a lot of people.
Excuse me, before you go on with that statement, you found a card, you owe or had to pay restitution for $1,900 to the hotel. Okay, why would you have to pay the hotel $1,940 if it wasn't their card or?
It wasn't their card. It wasn't.
Why did you owe them restitution?
I didn't owe them restitution.
It says in the documents $1,940 to the hotel.
Yes, and
why?
That's what I paid, but I didn't pay that towards the hotel. The hotel. It was for the person.
The person.
Yes.
So why did you have to give it to the hotel?
Either she was a guest at the hotel.
But you gave the money to the hotel.
I wrote a check and gave it to my lawyer, and my lawyer gave it to whomever. But I put on the check the name of the person whose card it was.
You put attention Danny Brabham
No.
in Roanoke?
Danny Brabham was the security manager for the hotel.
Oh.
The check I wrote was for the person's card that I had.
Was it a credit card instead of a gift card?
It was a gift card.
But the court order has restitution to the hotel for $1,900. And I don't know, did he give that to you all, or?
Yes.
And it's so what did you have to pay restitution to the hotel?
It must be something misprinted because I didn't pay the hotel anything.
Why did you have to stay off the hotel's property? You got banned from it.
Because I found it on the property and I took it.
Martin, were you working as a security guard at the time?
I was.
You were working for Imperial?
No, this was for. It was just hotel security for the hotel. It was just a
proprietary security organization. So you found the envelope in the parking lot of the hotel?
Definitely, I guess, maybe Stewart, our legal counsel here, that's hotel property. That's the reason probably the court order was to be refunded to them.
That would be my assumption, that
Yes.
if there were no identified.
That was the reason it made to the hotel, and the hotel would then pass it on to whoever the claimant was.
But I think that the hotel probably paid the guest the
Yeah.
money, and then whatever was gone into the court was reimbursed to the hotel.
But that's one of the simple reason the court ordered it that way, is because it was technically hotel property.
Right.
But that 1940 was the restitution that you paid?
yes.
Okay.
But we really don't know why. We're just assuming.
Right, we can only go by what the court order is
Okay.
saying.
So when you had the gift card, how did you spend it?
I bought Christmas gifts for my girlfriend and family.
Oops.
Yes.
And was that total $1,940? Okay.
Not a long run.
Are you a security guard now, licensed in state of Tennessee?
I was. But I cannot get a security license either, being I have 2 misdemeanor charges within the last 5 years.
I have a question.
Mr. Chairman, Larry Flair, if I may.
Go ahead.
Could we ask the gentleman, please, the gift card you found, you dispensed the gift card for $1,940, and then how did they find out that it was it was a gift card for the hotel and it was cash money? There wasn't any way to find out who bought that gift card prior when did you attempt to turn it in to the hotel?
No, I didn't attempt to turn it in. My best guess, I found out about a week later after I used it, was when my boss brought me into the office and he told me that, the person who owned the gift card called the police because she was missing it. They tracked down they went through the transactions and they saw me purchasing items at several different stores. And I signed my own name when I made purchases. I didn't disguise myself or anything. I thought it was like finding cash or something.
But for the record, you did make an attempt to contact the hotel about the card, or you did not? Just please clarify that for me, if you will. Larry Flair speaking.
I didn't make an attempt to contact the hotel. I called the number on the back of the card to see if it was linked to a certain person, to see if there was a name that I could, if I could give it back to somebody. But since there was no name or business or anything linked to the card, I kept it.
Okay, I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Larry Flair.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Looking at this document that's from the court ordering you to pay restitution, I guess it's a fine of $262. there a record here? I don't see it where that's been satisfied.
He's asking if you paid the court costs.
I paid everything.
But has there been any record submitted that verifies that?
Not to us, no, sir.
Well, he would still be on probation, so. Okay.
Well, if he still owed money, he'd just still be on probation?
Yeah, I had a year to pay it, and I paid it within a couple months just to get it out of the way because they.
Your light is lit up when you speak, please, sir, Mr. Barton.
So you got off probation in 2017.
It was a year probation, so June 2017 to June 2018.
Mr. Barton, on your application, it says Imperial Guards, and you still work there, but you don't work there anymore?
No, when I made that application, that was back in like December, I believe, and I was recently they didn't fire me or anything. I couldn't continue working because I got a letter from the security department saying that I didn't get the license.
I can clarify some of that. Mr. Barton did make an application to be a security guard. His application is marked as denied other because he did not provide us with these court documents at PPS, Private Protective Services, with the same documents he's providing you. So therefore, he did not get a license.
It's possible he didn't have them.
My question is, so who you were going to go to work for now, sir?
Right now I'm unemployed.
Oh, no, when you get your license, you have to be affiliated with the PI company.
Brewer Detective Agency.
Okay, which is Imperial on the guard side of it. Okay, so he's still that area.
Same
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why Miss Johnson recused herself.
That is her company. Yes. Any further discussion?
Pretty good sized mistake, huh?
Very.
Okay, counsel is advising me if you need to speak to Miss Johnson, she could do it on behalf of the company, not on behalf of the as being a commissioner member. If there was any questions for the owner or for her.
Let me ask a hypothetical question to you. If you had all these documents for the security application when it was provided to you, would you have approved him?
Yes.
And that's what I want to know.
I wasn't aware of that because when I got the letter in the mail saying that they denied me for security, I called them and they didn't tell me that I can submit.
We can talk about that later.
I was thinking if somebody's been charged, they don't qualify for a license.
This is a misdemeanor. It's 1129, was it not?
Yes.
But that was in Virginia, which would be a felony in Tennessee because of the amount. So do we?
It doesn't equal an
Not it.
automatic denial, especially with the new Fresh Start Act. It would still be something we'd have to consider in line with those factors before we issued a denial to an applicant.
We're also going to take into consideration, this was the only thing on the record,
Yes.
only time that the gentleman has been arrested. He had probation and he paid his restitution. That's how we look at that with PPS.
Can a probationary period be attached to a PI license?
You have that authority, yes, like the last one we just did. But that gentleman was under active probation. This gentleman is not.
I understand.
But yes, we can.
Further discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve his application that he continue under probation for a 2-year period, not to violate any laws of the state of Tennessee.
Rick Jones will second that motion.
Moved and seconded to approve his application. Any further discussion?
I'm trying to wrap my mind around the probation period. Unlike the other case, that gentleman was on proactive probation. This gentleman's not. He made full restitution. He made a mistake one time. He's made full restitution. He's, as far as Virginia, anywhere else, he's paid his debt. And like counsel, like you talked about, the Fresh Start program is very important in this state, that folks be given a second chance. And I don't consider this a second chance, because I think he's done everything he's asked of him. Apparently he paid his restitution fairly quickly. That's a sizable amount. So I'm guessing that was a struggle to get the money. So,
Mr. Chairman, based upon Commissioner Brown's comments, I'll withdraw the probation part of my motion.
okay.
So please state the motion.
Motion is to approve the application.
And Rick Jones will second.
Discussion on approval of the application? Hearing none, Director Vest, if you would call the roll.
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
No.
Robin Johnston. Oh, she recused herself. I'm sorry. Rick Jones,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
No.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Good luck to you.
Again, earn this.
We're trusting you.
I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you. You'll be hearing from us.
Lowered you off the island.
Haven't got the message yet that you were voted off the island.
Is there anything further under administrative matters?
We don't have, we just finished we had the legislative, there wasn't any application review. I do not have any, I guess I could stick this under correspondence, but I do have, only thing I have left is, under education review. I had the education committee meet this morning. And they have decided that all the courses were approved, so we do need a complete vote about the entire commission.
Okay, on the education report. Do we have a motion to approve the education report?
I still move we approve the education report, Commissioner Brown.
I second. Alan Russo.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Director Vest, would you call the roll?
Stuart Bain,
Aye.
David Brown,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Robin Johnston,
Aye.
Rick Jones,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Doug Shanks,
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And the only other thing, did I just move it? Oh, yeah, that I have is under education review, says John Fay. I got an email. They don't have this?
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
Okay, good, okay. It says, let me introduce myself. I am John Fay, owner and operator of Learning Shops USA. They send in a lot of courses. No. School that has 15 years has provided online training for private investigators, process servers, and security guards. In a conversation with Olivia Flood, I was advised that online training was not allowed. That's the same look I got.
Who's Olivia Flood?
I don't know.
Okay.
Please accept this correspondence as a request for a competent decision regarding this matter. I offer the following points for your consideration. So I'm sure all of you have looked at this. What this gentleman is asking is the Learning Shop, which is already a approved provider for us. So, I mean, I was rather shocked myself to read this. But online training has several variations. For example, in what called distance learning, an instructor appears on a television screen, delivers a lesson to many students in many different locations. We know that. So what are they still approved for online? Does the Private Investigation Commission have a problem with education online?
I'm aware of.
We have approved many online courses, so I think it would be in order to send him a letter saying online courses are approved if they're submitted timely and with all our parameters.
I can do that. I might also ask him who Miss Flood is.
Yes,
Perhaps
please.
I need to reach out to whoever this individual is. And maybe somewhat confused. Our alarm board has a different view on this.
Over Learning Shop, we have over 20 Learning Shop courses.
Yeah.
In our approved list. More like 25.
Some of them are online. Okay, that's what I'll just, you know how I am. Sometimes I just like to let you see the correspondence that we get. That's odd. I answered that question myself, but you wanted me to bring it before you, so that's what I did. And, Mr. Chairman, I do not have anything else on the agenda.
No unfinished business and no new business.
Mr. Flair?
Do we have anyone?
Just a moment. We will have right now, it looks like we will have a guest speaker at the next meeting in July. It'll be Mr. Steve Duncan with Blade Runner, some new technology on the polygraph side. Hopefully we'll have a polygraph examiner on the commission by then. If not, well, it's just educational is what it is. It's some new technology, and I'm sure the PIs want to know about the technology as well. So that'll be as a schedule right now, it'll be in July.
Since we have no unfinished business and no new business, do we have anyone appearing for the continuing education participant forum?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I got a quick question. It may not be in line, and if so, cut me off, please.
Okay, go ahead. Whoever. What did he say?
Go ahead, Larry.
Okay, I'm sorry. My phone did break up for a second. Two things. I wanted to know if the conflict of papers, the signatures that the papers were sent out, if they had been received by all of us, and also the area that Mr. Jones, Rick Jones, is in for his vacancy on the board, what area that would be.
I'm sorry. Let's just take that one at a time. The first one was the conflict of interest forms. All of those have been received and turned in.
Okay, thank you.
We had a deadline on those, and every year we've been asking you to do this. And what was the second question? I'm sorry, you broke up. I didn't understand your question.
Commissioner Jones, Rick Jones, I think, what area is he in, and where does the person have to reside? I know there's certain areas you need to be from, and which area would that be on him?
What area do you live in, Mr. Jones?
I have two residences, one in Jackson County and one in Wilson County.
Is that northeast, south?
Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
It's okay. Yes, sir. He's the Middle Tennessee representative.
Okay, and maybe I misunderstood earlier. Wasn't there a commissioner that is up for to be replaced? It may not have been Rick, and if it wasn't, I apologize. Or is there one that has not coming now? Or
Mr. Jones is expired, and Mr. Jerry Richards But he chose not to continue to where Mr. Jones has asked to continue on the commission until he is reappointed or someone is reappointed.
And Jerry's replacement needs to be an examiner.
But Jerry Richards, his position must be a polygraph examiner, which we are working on.
Okay, maybe if Rick and I could talk on a different platform at a different time, then it would be permissible with me if Rick could just reach out to me. I'd appreciate it.
I don't think so, sir. Two commissioner members talking about commission business makes it a public meeting.
Okay, then for the record, is Rick going to try to be continuing on, or is his interest going in another direction?
I would like to continue on, and I've made that clear to Cody.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Everything else is mute, and I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
I have talked to Mr. Jones on several occasions concerning this. I don't have anything to say about who's appointed. I receive your information. I do the vetting on individuals, and then I send it through the proper channels.
The governor is the one that appoints
The governor and his committee is the one who appoints it. Now, Mr. Jones has expressed his desire to continue. He will need to fill out the paperwork and get it to the Hill that says he wants to continue.
I understand now. What it is, Mr. Chairman and Madam Director, I just was under the impression that we had other vacancies that the people that were sitting did not want to continue, and I was going to try to see if we could come up with some names to submit or whatever. That's where I was going. I'm glad to hear that Rick. I think he's done an outstanding job, and I'm glad to hear that that he wants to continue. And but the polygraph board then right now is the only one that Jerry said that he did not want to continue. Is that correct?
Jerry Richards is not here today. He does not wish to continue till someone else is appointed. For the record, Alan Russo is still with us. Thank you. Since 2014 when he expired. And Rick Jones also expires. These individuals have expressed a desire to continue with the commission, and the necessary paperwork needs to be sent to the Hill. I have received Mr. Russo's paperwork. It's Mr. Jones that has to get his paperwork in.
Okay. Again, thank you. And I just for the record, I just wanted to know the feelings for Mr. Jones. If he wasn't interested, now that he had stated that he is, he does a great job, and I'm glad to hear that.
All right, well, thank you.
Is there any further business to come before the commission? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn? Come on.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn. I was waiting on Larry Flair to do that.
And the second.
Okay, I did hear Stuart, but let's see. It was David Brown and Rick Jones.
Yes.
Okay. You will need to call the roll on that.
Thank you. Stuart Bain.
Aye.
David Brown.
Aye.
Larry Flair.
Aye.
Robin Johnston.
Aye.
Rick Jones.
Aye.
Alan Russo.
Aye.
Doug Shanks.
Aye.
Walt Valentine.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We are adjourned.